Got an early morning this morning, and we've got a whole lot of wood chips that we need to get moved because we got a lot of trees coming. So before we get to all that, let's take a peek at this beautiful sunrise this morning. So we have our regular scheduled programming of the week. That's partying with poop. So I need to get some wood chips real quick because we've got a pretty good pile of pig manure that is piling up. So I'm gonna grab the tractor, go grab some wood chips here real quick. You can kind of get an idea, that pile right over there, right there, is actually just from this week. And that's the one that we've had going for the last couple months. I'm actually not gonna turn that one, the old one there, I'm gonna just continue to water that down. I wanna have that manure breaking down in the middle. That is what we have instead of using a tarp. So we're kind of seeing how well we can get compost to go without having to tarp them. Anyhow, I'm gonna let the pigs go ahead and have some breakfast. I need to get over to Lori because she's working on, of course, more poop. All right, so I think our manure mornings are done. You can see that pile right there, that is just composted, beautiful chicken manure. Trees are gonna love it. Okay, so we've got a few things going on today. The first one is our son. So our son moved out when he was 19 and wanted to move back into the city because we were out here in Whitman, mainly because of internet speeds. Anyhow, he had an issue with an apartment he was supposed to move into. It's not gonna be ready because of some water damage that happened. So he was kind of in a bind, so he's actually gonna be moving back in with us after 5 years of being on our own and him being on his own. He's gonna be back today, so we're gonna help him get settled in. But one of the things we have to get done is back this way. So this is our western orchard. It's where we have all of our stone fruit, and you can see we've got most of these trees have either dropped or we have helped them to drop their leaves. We strip the leaves off because we want to make sure we maximize the chill hours, and more importantly, I'm able to see where I need to make pruning cuts. And we've got some challenges when it comes to pruning these trees because of how we have to basically keep them shaped to protect from rabbits. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna be pruning here over the next couple days. We'll be filming that for you guys. We've had a lot of questions about pruning. It's pruning season, definitely time to prune, by the way. And we'll be doing pretty much all of our trees hopefully this weekend if we can get that done. One of the things we also need to get prepared for is bare root fruit trees. You guys were watching one of those today. In fact, down here at the end of this section of orchard is the new almond and persimmon trees that we planted last weekend. So they're doing really, really well so far. I mean, as far as I can tell. But one thing that we have to get ready for is we have to be prepared for a bunch of bare root fruit trees that we have coming in. We have bare root fruit trees coming in from Greg Peterson and the Urban Farm. We also have bare root fruit trees from a website we found called groworganic.com. And we've got a couple of different types of trees coming from them. We want to make sure we get the ground prep for these. And we have rain coming this week, which is perfect. So that'll help to kind of get some of the wood chips that we're going to be throwing down on the ground here with you guys today wet and get that soil nice and moist and be a lot easier for us to be digging in a bunch of bare root trees. The challenge we have is all those trees are going to be arriving, it looks like, within a week or so of each other. And we've got, I don't know, a couple dozen trees or something we need to get to the ground pretty much right away. So what Lori and I are going to do, we've got this wrapped up. We're going to go ahead and grab the tractor, and we need to start getting some wood chips down on the ground to prep for these trees. So we're back here on the back 40. You can see, have our pecan trees there behind me, and we've got our white mulberries here. So we have 6 trees we're picking up from Greg here on January 30th, actually, I think is when our appointment is for those trees. And 6 of the trees that we're picking up are going to be back here in this back area. Trees that we want to make sure they're nice and big. So what we're going to do is, Lori is in the tractor there, waiting for me to wrap up with you guys. But what we're going to do is we're going to be putting wood chips on the ground and watering them in really heavy, because this ground back here, as most of the ground, is very, very tough. And I have to use our big tiller, so it's kind of hard to make the rings and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to be picking those trees up from Greg in downtown Phoenix. We're about an hour and 15 minutes away from where he's at. So we have a real tight timeline that day to get trees planted. We want to make sure it's going to be very easy for us to dig into the soil here and get those trees into the ground as quickly as we can. So we're going to go ahead and prep the ground with wood chips, water them in nice and heavy. One of the things I wanted to show you guys while I'm here, though, we have this little quick coupler right here. And this device here basically just essentially hooks into this quick coupler and gives us water back here. But what's nice is, this being in the ground like it is we have obviously some traffic back here as far as our tractor and the mower and that thing is concerned. But also we eventually plan on having livestock back here. So we didn't necessarily want to have a traditional spigot. We wanted to keep these things kind of tucked in and out of the way, and also make it look nice and clean. So what's nice is we need water back here today. I just brought a hose back here. I've got this quick coupler I'm going to go ahead and connect, and we'll be able to go ahead and get these wood chips here placed. So Lori is taking the tractor. We're gonna head up front, kind of give you a view. Probably lose focus here, but got all that ready there for trees. And we have all of it ready back behind me for trees as well. So now what we need to do is we need to get back into the eastern and western orchard. We have bare root fruit trees that are gonna go in there. We're gonna do the exact same thing with those spots, so we get those ready for planting. Always good to have our son back, huh?
Yeah.
I agree. So we're gonna, actually we talked a little bit last week about the fact that we were gonna be planting some roses. So we have 3 roses here in the vineyard garden. See that here? So we got 3, what are the 3 varieties that we have, hon? What's this one?
Mr. Lincoln.
So Mr. Lincoln, that's this one here. It smells really good. Beautiful red rose down there.
John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy.
Got a white rose.
White rose, got a presidential thing going on here.
Yep.
And then over there?
Fragrant Cloud.
Fragrant Cloud. So we got a Mr. Lincoln,
something like that.
John F. Kennedy, so a red, a white, and what's that one? Wasn't that like
kind
orange
of like
pink?
an orangish pinkish, yeah.
It's kind of like an orange pink. So you can kind of see here, we get these bare root basically. So there's that right there. This is the Mr. Lincoln. You can see it's got a lot of really good new growth on here. And these are kind of strange because we talk a little bit about planting fruit trees and making sure that the graft point is above ground level. These, they instruct you basically to plant them right there. Actually have that knuckle, I think is it underneath or right at ground level?
Well, it's supposed to be just under.
So just
like,
under.
Depending on what your temperatures are and stuff.
All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and fertilize it, rose tone. So it's an organic fertilizer. And we're not too strict when it comes to organic, when it comes to our roses in pots like this, but we're trying to kind of keep that theme. I know this one is mainly chicken manure and feather meal, so that's interesting. We could actually make that here. But we're gonna go ahead and get these fertilized here, and then I think we're gonna get to some pruning. So what do we do here as far as the instructions? I think, was it like a cup? Pretty sure, I think it's a cup of this stuff. We just kind of spread it down in here. Now this is the growing season for roses here in Arizona, and you guys will notice that here today, it's the first night we did not have chill hours in a couple months. It's beautiful today. We're pushing almost 80 degrees, and these roses are really happy. So we want to make sure, especially as we get rain this week, that we get some fertilizer down here for these roses. One other thing that we did last weekend that we actually didn't get on camera, we actually planted 12 grapevines. Technically, we planted 14, but these were bare root grapevines that we ordered from groworganic.com. They looked really good. They're Dave Wilson trees, basically. This side of the vineyard garden, we have Zinfandel grapes that are growing here. So we got 6 of those. On the other side there, just on the other side of those daikon beds, we have Syrah. So we have a couple different wine grapes that we planted last weekend. Their bare root vines look fantastic, so we went ahead and ordered our flame grape vines from them as well. So we're actually gonna plant those on camera for you guys here as soon as we get them. All right, so I wanted to get something else on video for you guys today because it is time to prune your trees. So right here, what we're gonna do on camera for you guys today is gonna be that potted apple tree. So this is our golden Dorset apple. We've had this in this pot now, I think for going on 3 years. We did get a little harvest off of it last year. Here's a better angle. You can actually see how the tree itself is growing a lot in one direction. So I definitely want to clean that up, and we'll kind of walk through step by step of kind of where I'm going to choose my cuts and why. Definitely very unique when you're dealing with an apple tree in a pot, because we do want to get some production, but at the same time, we have to be realistic and it can't support much in the way of fruit production. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tools and let's get this little apple tree pruned. So we did go ahead and take all the leaves off, so it's very easy for me to see and easily get into this tree. So now typically with our apple trees, we do like an open center, but because this is out here in the open and just has the sun blazing down on top of it, I definitely don't want to leave this too open. So I'm going to leave some of this center growth actually in here. So what I'm focusing on right now is I'm focusing on branches like this. You can see this actually is crossing over this part right here. Now I have some fruiting spurs right up into here, so I actually know I can get some fruit here. But what I'm gonna concentrate on right now is I need to make sure I'm removing any branches that are crossing. So this one comes right off and I'm just gonna leave that there. So I've got some branches down here you can see are growing right into the side of the pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and lose that there. And I've got another one down here, might be kind of hard to see. It's coming out this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that one. Got another branch here you can see is kind of growing up right here around the rest of these branches. It's gonna wind up crossing, so I'm gonna take that off. One thing I do wanna point out, if Lori can pick this up, so when you're making your pruning cuts, you wanna make sure that you're getting just above the collar. You can see that collar kind of extends. It's okay if there's a little bit of extra. That'll eventually heal over as the tree and this branch and trunk kind of grow out, but you don't wanna get it too close to the trunk. Now, that's not quite as critical here in Arizona because we don't have a lot of issues with mold and bacteria, but you could have an issue with that as far as the trunk is concerned, and again, that'll heal over just fine. We've got another branch here that's actually pushing against the bottom of the pot. This one is starting to go this way. It's definitely gonna cross over into here, and I have a lot of growth to the front, so I'm not gonna need to have this branch actually at all, so I'm gonna lose that completely. When you're looking at a pot like this, I would say you're probably doing more of like a bonsai, Cobra Kai kind of deal where you're cutting this tree to kind of shape as opposed to production, which is what we would normally focus on. So obviously I'm gonna keep it small, but I wanna make cuts that are gonna make the tree look nice at the same time because it's here right at the front of the garden area. I've got some fruiting spurs here, so I wanna make sure that I'm encouraging fruit production here. So what I'm gonna do, as opposed to having this long branch here, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one off, get more vertical growth here, and then hopefully induce some fruiting here. I have growth that's coming out. I wanna make sure I'm inducing any type of fruiting that's gonna come in there. I definitely need to take this tree back in slightly. I've got this branch here that's going back this direction the wrong way. We'll lose that. I may have some fruiting spurs here, so I'm gonna cut this back right here and see if I can induce some fruiting there. I'm just gonna thin this out a little. I've got another branch down here. This one here is kind of low. starts to point down, comes back up, and then I'm gonna have some crossing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just remove this branch. Now I've got a lot of growth that's going out this way too far from the pot. So I already know that I'm gonna be cutting back in this way to bring the tree in. So as I'm looking at this, I'm gonna take this one off. This is more vertical, closer to the pot. This one here, I think is gonna be an extra branch. I don't like the way it's kind of sitting. If I do wanna have some of that protection, this is the western sun coming in this way. So I wanna make sure that I'm protecting the center of this tree as we get that sun coming in this direction. And I'm trying to get balance on this tree. I have basically what amounts to 4 scaffolds. I have a scaffold heading in this direction back towards Lori, a scaffold here pretty evenly spaced, a scaffold here, and a scaffold here. So I want to maintain those, but once they come out this far, I definitely don't. I made a pruning cut here probably last year, and because of that, I know I got some fruit in here, but at the same time, this is a little too far away from here. So I think what I'm gonna do, I've got this one that's gonna come out. I think I'm gonna leave that there and take that off. Again, I wanna make sure that I've got the growth coming up, but this is too much top growth. I wanna stop this top growth because I wanna try to induce fruiting spurs down here. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for a node that's gonna point out. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my pruning cut just above that. You're gonna get some dieback. It's not too close. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of the height out. So I think that's gonna do it for this. Now you can see how much material that I took off of this tree. Now one of these things, especially when you have a small tree like this, that's a couple years old, it could probably take a little bit more as far as pruning down, but I wanna make sure this tree is presentable. I think that it's got a lot more balance. It's not gonna be too tall as far as the growth from this pot, and it'll fill this space in nicely. Hopefully I've saved a few fruiting spurs so we can actually get some harvest off of this tree. I'd love to get some apples this year because I know our main orchard apples are definitely not gonna be producing any fruit for us at all. But this will give you an idea how much material you can take off of this, of a tree this size, and hopefully again, we'll get some fruit off of it. We're gonna definitely get the pruning videos done for you guys. We're gonna kind of do segments of the farm so that we cover all of the different types of trees. And these are first year trees. So we're gonna be doing some specific things this year that we wouldn't necessarily do when we're doing our typical pruning. But we need to go ahead and get to work because it's a beautiful day today. It's gonna be about 80 degrees, but we've got rain coming this week. I don't know how much time I'm gonna have next week to do it. And we've got those bare root fruit trees coming. So, you know, it's time to get your pruning done now, and we need to go and get to it ourselves. Oh man! I literally...
What do you think when you're...
I just dead legged it. And see, I can't talk and see it. I'm gonna have to basically lay down on the ground.